Welcome to the E3 Leadership Profile Workbook. This workbook is not intended to answer all of your questions, but rather guide you through a series of exercises to get you thinking about who you are and what you want to be famous for. To be a great E3 leader, you need to know yourself first. When you are authentic and true, you can start to build trust with others, most importantly with your team. When people can understand what you stand for, and they can understand what you believe in and what you would love to accomplish, they can better relate. This becomes your personal purpose, your why, your WIFM, what's in it for me. So when people trust you, they're willing to get on board and truly engage. So this workbook is organized by sections, and you may want to skip around as each section builds on the other. I want you to imagine a conic spiral that starts larger at the top. And when you finish a loop, the next one gets smaller and smaller until you reach a point. It's that point that you really want to explore, because the more you hone into each element, you will figure out what's important to you. So let's get started. First, there's an intro to challenge you on leadership. Who is a leader? A leader is you. Anybody focused on inspiring and enabling those around them. Leadership is about getting people from point A to point B. It's about sharing an idea and getting people to take action. It's about getting everyone on the boat and rowing in the same direction. Your E3 leadership profile is first a guide to help you better understand yourself and what drives you. It then helps others better understand who you are and what you stand for. Often we're asked to provide a bio, right? It's a factual list of our accomplishments, our education, our jobs, our accomplishments, etc. It's important stuff, but it does not provide any real insight into who you are. This is simply a fact sheet that people want to know and you have to share. But what we're introducing here is the E3 Leadership Profile. This is a one-pager that you can use to introduce yourself to teammates, staff, even family, or anyone you're going to be working with. The goal is to complete this one-pager using the exercises on all the other tabs. As I mentioned before, order doesn't necessarily matter. Eventually, you want to be building out the full profile. So you can see here, you've got the values, non-negotiables, taglines, missions, you've got all the working styles. Eventually, we're going to populate and create a PowerPoint that you can then share with others. For each one of these numbers, there's a corresponding list of tabs below that will help you with exercises and thought-provoking questions to be able to populate here the values and why. So there's another video I did that you can watch of me actually presenting back my E3 leadership profile and how I can talk through it. But it was really doing all this other work beforehand that was important to get there. So you'll see for values and the why, this is number one. And there's 4 tabs that are related to it. And we'll go through each one of these. So that's the how you're going to navigate around this spreadsheet. I know some people are not necessarily comfortable with Excel, but this isn't meant to be challenging. It's just to help you navigate from one place to another. So if we get started then with values, and you click on the tab values, you'll see that up at the top, you have a little bit of an explanation of what we're talking about and why it's so important. Because so when we talk about core values, it's a foundation to create consistent experiences with your brand and relationships with others. Okay, so up here on the top gray, you can understand what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. And in this exercise, when you look at it, what values resonate with you? So we'll ask you to set a timer for 5 minutes, and you're going to click on the next list of values right here. And what I want you to do is go through and highlight those that really resonate with you. And the goal here is to pick 20. Okay, so You don't think too hard on it. It's just you want to go through it quickly and say, yeah, these words. And by the way, if words that resonate with you or values that you don't feel are on here, feel free to add them. Okay, so you're going to do that exercise looking at this values list. Then you want to go through that list. So you're going to populate your first 20 here. And again, add your own if you feel they're really critical. Then the next part of the exercise is now take this list of 20 that you've put together and set the timer again for 5 minutes and go through that list above and pare it down to 5 this time. And you're going to enter in here what those values are: people first, honesty, integrity. Just start typing in those words. I've put value 1, 2, and 3 just to demonstrate how we can enter in those values very easily. Okay. Then we're going to go over to the prioritization tab. And on this tab, everything that you entered in is going to have populated in here. Here's my value 1, there's my value 2, and it goes all the way down. Now, this is a calculator to help you pick which one you're going to compare one to another. So you're going to have value 1 versus value 2. Well, if I look at those two values, value 2 is more important to me. So I'm going to put a 2. If I look at value 1 to value 3, I'm going to say 3 is more important to me. You know, value 1 versus value 4. You're going to go through your entire list here. And what happens is it's going to start to calculate here how many times you pick that value. And this prioritization list really takes away some of the gut feel on which one you think is the most important. But when you go side by side on each and every one of them, it really does show you what bubbles up to the top. I have to tell you, the first time I did this exercise, I was shocked to find out what my number 1 value was. I wouldn't have put it first, but when I compared that single item to each other single item, it always took precedent. So once you have done the exercise on the left here, you just go to the ranking here and you will sort from largest to smallest. And so these numbers will then populate back on this sheet. Value 2 is your number 1 value. Okay, and it will then pre-populate your top values. Okay, so these are your top 3 values based on this exercise that you've done. So once you have those 3 values, then you want to go over to the values Y tab. And again, these are already pre-populated for you. Now, start to think about why. Why is this value so important to you? What has happened in your life that it's been, caused you to value this? I know for some folks that have grown up in an environment where fear really is the predominant element, might go opposite and say freedom is the most important thing they value. So just think about, why is something so important? Did you grow up without a lot of money and food on the table? So therefore security may be the most thing that's valuable to you. Is it family that's the most important? Is it spiritual? There is no right answers on any of this. This is about understanding yourself, being able to pull that information out, put it down on a piece of paper and tell the story. Because how you value things will impact you on how you prioritize things and how you are, going to go after certain goals. So this whole section, these 4 tabs here on the spreadsheet are helping you really put together what those values are that you can then share and express with others. So we'll do the same thing around non-negotiables. Well, a similar concept of trying to find out what those non-negotiables, but in this exercise, I asked you to look at it from more of a negative point of view. And here, what you want to think about is, what do you despise? What just really drives you batty or gets your goat on things? And so what you do is you put in all of these things you despise. Now, I put some things, topics like anything that happens in your day. If you're looking at an individual event, a job, a boss, an assignment, listen, you can add to this. What this helps you do is really detail out what is it that you despise and why. Then you can look at it and say, okay, what's the opposite? Because the opposite then tells you the things that you really are looking for. And that's what you cherish. Those are your non-negotiables. If I don't have people providing feedback, I can't work in that environment. If I am not working in a fun social environment, I can't work in that environment, right? These are all the non-negotiables that you know are really critical for you. Based on what you have put up here, words are going to start to come up and it could be multiple words, but what you're looking for is picking some of those words here and putting them down. Look for 10 things that you think, yeah, these are the things I really would love, right? In my non-negotiables. And we're going to go through the same exercise that we went through with the values, right? So you have a calculator here that will populate your non-negotiables. And again, you enter your preference, 1 or 2 to 1 or 3, et cetera, all the way down. It will calculate your prioritization, rank it by largest to smallest, and it will come back and prioritize those non-negotiables for you on the spreadsheet. Okay. Next, we have the leadership style. Often we're asked, what is our leadership style? And there's no right or wrong. There is no set definition of this is, the concrete list of leadership styles. There's a lot of folks that put guides out there to indicate what are different items. I actually picked one from Indeed that provides some career advice because it provided, characteristics, benefits, challenges, so that you can really look through this list. And the goal here is not necessarily to pick one specific style, to look more at the characteristics, the benefits, the challenges, et cetera, and see if you can't really define what your leadership style is. And think about how would you explain your leadership style to your boss, right? So if you're sitting in an interview and someone asks, how do you describe your leadership style? How would you explain it? And the why. Really understand the why and why it's important to you. If you're leading a team, how would you explain your leadership style to your team and the why? Because this statement that you're putting together and then adding back up to the leadership profile really provides a ton of insight for people to know, what do you value? How do you interact with people? What do you find important, et cetera? So next you have the tagline. And this is a great opportunity to define who you are and what you want to be known for. And this really is meant to be very crisp, and it's your brand, right? And it's even more succinct than an elevator pitch, right? So what I want you to do here is brainstorm. Spend time, sit down and brainstorm on any words that come to you with regards to your strengths. Are you someone that you're a driver, you're smart, you're witty, you're accomplished? I don't know, it's unlimited to the words that you want to put in here. Think about what you enjoy doing. I'm a cook, I'm a chef, I'm a strategist, I'm a getter-doner, right? Think about what you really enjoy doing. Ask others, have them brainstorm on words of how would you describe me? What words come to mind when you think about me? Look at your values that you brought in. Do they resonate as well? Think about what you would want to be famous for. Again, we're just brainstorming. What words would you want someone to know about you very quickly? What's something you would want to trigger people like, oh, what does that mean? So you can tell more about yourself. So you're going to write all these words down, and then you're going to look at it, ponder it, think about it, and pick what you think is your tagline. What's your calling card? What's going to be put on your LinkedIn header, or what are you going to put on your business card? So that's what you want to do. And this is how we put this together. So it's a spreadsheet to help you think through how you can come up with that tagline. The next worksheet is around your working style. So this is maybe one of the, I'd like to say it's the simplest exercise on here, but others may disagree, but this is more of a multiple choice. So communication style, come in and look at, are you direct and to the point? Are you caring? You're friendly? Think about how you communicate. What are your communication preferences? So you want to answer all of the questions here. And, there's some notes here if you're not quite sure what they mean. We've tried to add in some further description to you to help you be able to answer each one of these. Now, a number of these questions will automatically populate up into the original E3 profile tab as well. There's another worksheet here around goals. This is a challenge for you. Think idealistically, not realistically. What do you care about? What are your goals in life? Social, spiritual, mental, career. Oftentimes when I ask people to do this leadership profile for the first time, because we're doing it in a business environment, they have a tendency to really think, oh, I want to be promoted in 6 months, or I want to be the head of this department, whatever it might be. It's very business oriented. And it isn't until they see, oh, this is really meant to be true and authentic to who I am. It's okay to put things out here beyond, your work aspirations. When I've done this with some teams, one of my direct reports, I had no idea, shared with me that they wanted to buy a food truck and eventually start their own business, driving around because they love to cook and they want to share it with others. It just provided an opportunity now for us to get to know each other better. It allowed me to find opportunities to engage him more, because I could talk about, well, if we learn this skill, that's going to help you later on with the food truck. And so when we know our goals, people can look around and help us reach those goals. But we have to be able to articulate them and be transparent with them. And then the last one is your mission. So this is getting a little more specific on what motivates you to get up every morning. If you weren't getting paid to go to work, what would you still be doing when you're spending your time? So as I mentioned, these are all exercises to help you build out your E3 leadership profile. Ideally, you're able to come up with answers to most of these. If you're not, do your best. This is something you will continue to refine over the years. I'm constantly coming back in here after I've shared it with someone. Either things have changed or I've learned how to articulate it better. But when I am sharing this with others, it helps them navigate better with me and understand me better. And it just creates a much better working relationship. So hopefully this will help you navigate through this Excel spreadsheet and this tool to build out your E3 leadership profile. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Kathy Eastwood. Email address is keastwood@e=y.com. I'm happy to hear from you. Thanks so much.